Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson. I'm joined, as always. Well, I guess I shouldn't say always because Ben did the last show.
Literally the last show.
As joined almost always by Josh Bowe. Welcome to the show. Josh, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I'm cheating. I got to miss the double-digit loss, and I get to come back for the relatively pain-free win, although I guess it wasn't pain-free technically speaking, but still I feel like I'm getting off a little easy here.
Yeah. So Saturday night game, Dallas Mavericks traveled up to Portland for the second time in 8 days. That is kind of an underrated element of those games. I now sort of understand when Brad Townsend got like the news about who the Mavericks were going to play when the in-season tournament schedule was decided. He's basically kind of scoffed about the fact that they'd have to go to Portland again. And I get it now that I'm seeing it on the schedule. It's a lot of travel. Like Portland is far away.
Yeah.
But the Mavericks are up there. I think this is the start of a couple of game road trip anyway. So they're up there. They're playing Portland, who they gave them a pretty hard time 8 days ago. Wasn't that the game that Kyrie got hurt against?
That was the game. Kyrie got hurt.
Yeah, so maybe we just shouldn't play them anymore because, as everybody knows by now, Derek Lively got hurt in this game. The ankle sprain didn't look great, but you never that dude fell on his back from Mars and was somehow okay within 2 games. So I don't really know what to think about that. We'll probably talk about that one a little bit more. The Mavericks came in and more or less took care of business. Portland gave them a number of I don't want to say scares, but effectively was like, hey, guys, pay attention, more or less. I mean, and every time that happened, the Mavericks would respond with one way, shape, or form. Like, it is pretty funny to me looking at this. Like, Luka Doncic has a 40-point triple-double and is a -4. The Mavericks played really well in the minus Luka minutes, which is a big reason why they won this game. But I don't really know what to make of this one other than I'm glad they went out on the road. I'm glad they took care of business against a team that they should have beaten. And, I see lots of areas for improvement for certain guys in the team. But, the Mavericks are just sort of fighting the tide with a spoon with these injuries. Like, at a certain point, they're just going to get completely waxed 2 or 3 games in a row because they don't have enough guys.
Yeah, well, we keep kind of saying that, and it's still
they keep winning. Yeah,
they still haven't. I mean, they lost that Timberwolves loss was kind of ugly, but even then, they still probably hung in tougher than I think most would expect with the lead that they had early in the game. I mean, this was a game you figured like you lose Lively, 6 minutes into the game, and he's basically your either second or third.
I didn't realize I didn't realize it was that soon into the game. I was doing both children's bedtimes.
And it was at a point where the Mavericks were already not looking too great defensively. And so it was just like, this is going to go from bad to worse. And really everything was so nondescript, like in terms of just taking care of business. Otherwise, like Lively to me feels like the biggest thing coming out of this game, but we can wait to talk about it later because we need to talk about the actual game. But
sure.
But yeah, I mean, it was if they were going to lay an egg against a bad team, I mean, the conditions were prime. No Kyrie, Still no Josh Green, still no Maxi Kleba. Although saying like still no Maxi Kleba at this point, like there's like no timetable for him.
I actually
so, like,
sent
bringing up his name feels weird.
I sent a text to Bobby Corrala of the Mavs kind of media team there and was like, "Is this dude alive?" Because there's been no updates. There's been very little reporting on him.
Yeah,
and I don't want to be an ass about that sort of stuff, but it does feel weird. We are literally 25 games into the season, and the dude, it's a dislocated toe. Did he get it cut off? I'm not being sarcastic here. Like, toe stuff can really affect your balance. So I understand why it's taking a while. I just want to know a little more other than dislocated toe.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I don't think he's even really. He hasn't fully practiced yet. So yeah, there's not really much that they're letting on. So yeah. I mean, this would have been a prime game for them to drop with you look at the injuries, you look at losing Lively in the first quarter, and then combine that with this was the first time Portland's had Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, and Malcolm Brogdon together since like the first week of the season, I think. So you just it felt like the conditions were right for a letdown game. And instead, I mean, the Mavericks basically from the second quarter to the end of the game, basically controlled the game. Portland got out to a really hot start, and then the Mavericks defensively they didn't adjust too much. I mean, it was kind of more bend don't break. I mean, Portland scored 72 points in the paint, so I can't really laud the Mavericks defense. It just kind of felt like after that first quarter, the Mavericks offense was like, all right, let's just put this game to bed. Luka was insane. Especially in the first half. I think he had 30 in the first half.
He did. 30. No. Yeah.
He had 30 in the first half?
Mm-hmm. He did.
Okay. I mean, he was insane. Portland's defense was embarrassing, but he was literally doing, just taking what the defense gave him, and he was just kind of waltzing to the rim at ease. And his floater game, like that floater range area, he was really dialed in from that range. So then that just kind of cascaded, and eventually Portland in the second half was like, all right, we'll double him. And then the Mavericks made 16 threes. Not a great percentage because Luka and Timmy didn't shoot all too well, but Seth made a couple. Derrick Jones Jr. made a couple. Markieff Morris made a couple. They made enough shots off the Luka doubles that, I mean, yeah, like you said, they kind of tested them a couple of times, but I mean, this game never felt like it was going to slip away from them. So that's pretty impressive considering – I know Portland stinks, and this game is just a reinforcement of how much they stink. But I feel like considering losing Lively so early in the first quarter, that they were able to still handle their business with relative ease, I feel like that's pretty impressive.
I think that's right. This is going to be one of these games, and I'm just going to nip this. Well, I'm not going to nip. I'm not going to nip it in the bud because social media is going to do what social media does. I don't give a shit about Jeremy Grant scoring a bunch of points. I don't care. Yay, he scored a bunch of points against the Mavericks. Now everybody's going to we need to go get Jeremy Grant. No, we don't. No, we don't. Let me say it again for those in the back. No, we don't. He's shooting 43% from the floor, guys. 43%. Yeah, I'm glad he's scoring a lot of points because the team is fucking terrible.
And he also decided, how many years are we?
Yeah, he keeps going to bad teams. It's his call.
Yeah, 4 years ago, he decided he did not want to be a defensive role player on a good team, and he wanted to be on bad teams so he could score a lot of points and make a lot of money, which
good for him.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just like lighting up the Mavericks is not like it's like it's what the against the Mavs All-Stars is what Doncic what Dalton calls them. Yeah. And it's the kind of day, and it's like when it's okay if you only watch the Dallas Mavericks. There are 82 basketball games for that one team in a year. You don't have to watch everyone, but like Grant is capable of, at one point in his career here, is capable of being something. I don't believe he's capable of being anything else now. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Call me, but it's just there's going to be these clamors. Oh, the Mavericks need to go get a guy like him. No, they don't. They need something, but he's not that guy for me. His contract is a lot of money.
Yeah, they need the Grant that played in Denver in 2020 or Oklahoma City. Yes. And that's where people, because that's where he kind of rose to prominence with OKC on some of those teams. And he was like kind of that Swiss jack of all trades, defensive, athletic forward. And people get that first impression drilled in their heads, and then they see, oh, well, he's still that same player, but now he's scoring 23 points a game. And it's like, no, he decided he didn't want to do any of that stuff. He just wanted to score. Yeah, which again, I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying his fit. He is not the cure to the Mavericks ails on the defensive end.
Not to mention, he makes enough money. Pair the money plus the assets the Mavericks would have. It like logistics don't work. And so I just want to get that out in the open.
Yeah.
People are going to yell at me for this. I don't fucking care. Like if he goes to, a really good team that really needs him, like that's the kind of guy that's your sixth man kind of scorer, to be quite
or you've
candid.
got like 3 or 4 other good defenders in your starting lineup.
He doesn't help the Mavs defense. They don't need help with offense, guys. They don't. I'm saying guys, like anybody here doesn't.
If you want to rag on a Trailblazers that Mavericks fans have thirsted for in the past that you won't get any blowback on, DeAndre Ayton will fill that role for
you. Like
quite well.
A pettier person than you or I might go searching through the tweets of people who screamed at you that how we gotta go get him. We gotta go get Ayton. He's right there for the taking. The man sucks.
There's a reason he was right there for the taking.
Soft.
Yeah.
Terrible. One of the first things he ever told media was his goal was to get to a second contract.
Yeah, because I think he's pretty much said he doesn't like it. It's not a big deal. I mean, like it doesn't make him a bad person, but I'm pretty sure basketball is just something that kind of came to him because of his.
He's one of the most physically gifted people on the planet.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a passion for him.
And that's fine.
Yeah, like it didn't make him a bad guy, but it doesn't mean you need him on your basketball team.
Oh man,
Markieff Morris basically outplayed him tonight, and that's just very funny considering people were basically like throwing stones at me for not wanting to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. for him.
Yeah,
not that Timmy had a dynamite game, even though he scored 25 points, but it's just funny how these things work out. I mean, sometimes they work out wrong, like where I have a lot of egg on my face, but this one.
Well, and it's just so funny because this would have been a game where after Lively goes out, that he should have whooped the Mavericks' ass.
He should. I think he had. I'm pretty sure he finished with 7 points. He had 3 buckets, 7 points. I think all those came in like the first quarter too.
And then he says dumb shit like, "I'm going to be coming out here dominating." It's like, shut the fuck up, play basketball, you clown show. Sorry, I hate dudes like this because I remember, like, I remember
kind of that Christian
about
Wooditis.
Well, it's like when he was back at University of Arizona coming in, there was a video of him talking about he wants to play stretch 4 like LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah,
and like whenever a guy says that, I am just like bright red flag. That means you don't know what you're good at. Anyway, you can tell we're talking about the Blazers because there's just not a ton to say about the Mavericks.
Other than Lucas God and there's stepped up.
So, yes. All right. I want to circle back to that in just a second. But for a minute, guys, you can do me a favor. Hit the like on the stream. It's down there. It's a big thumbs up button. It would help Josh and I. When this video is closed out, if you could return later, go through some of our other videos, leave comments. I really like reading those. It also helps us. We do every single one of our shows live. Due to the feedback from some of our listeners here, I have attempted and am going to keep attempting to do our second show as a part of this one. So it'll just be one continuous stream. I'm going to cut up the audio later. But I like taking that will happen right after Josh and I are done talking. We bring different fans up here and we can talk just because talking hoops is fun. You can rant. You can tell me where I'm wrong. You can get a takeoff. We had my friend Harold who popped up here the other day who had some absolutely spicy takes about all sorts of different stuff. And it was like 1 a.m. It was a lot of fun. And that's what it's for, because you should be talking basketball about your friends. And that's what we're here for. So subscribe to the show, Pod Maverick. If you are listening on an audio feed, please consider leaving a review and rating. If you're listening on Apple, there's no way you're hearing this on Apple because Apple is still fucked up. And I'm going on week 2 of dealing with Apple customer support. I will figure it out one day. It is truly, truly awful for Josh and I. Like, we are taking a hit to the wallet for this. And I don't know. There's not a great answer, but you guys aren't here to hear about Josh and I's problems. Thank you for letting me shill for just a few minutes.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is it makes hiring all in one place so easy and streamlined so I can spend more time on the rest of my business. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
The Luka of it all is just hilarious. He only scored 10 points in the second half because he started doing like Larry Bird, I'm bored stuff.
And also Portland was like, okay, I guess we'll double you. Like, I guess we'll stop letting you get a parade to the rim like whenever you want. Chauncey
Billups called a timeout 18 seconds into the third quarter because Luka just like sauntered into the lane and did a turnaround basket.
Saunter is a great description of his game because I feel like that's what he did every single time he got into the paint, which made it even like funnier. Like that's what makes it so funny when he dominates these teams because it's like, are you even breaking a sweat right now? Like he had a play. It was like the slowest fast break layup of all time because it was like secondary transition. And he just kind of felt like he was just kind of like weaving in between like the cone drills that you see football players do, but like at like quarter speed and then just kind of got a layup at the end of it. It was just snaking around. I think even the Mavericks TV team chuckled at it a little bit with like, it looked like you were watching a replay in slow motion, but it was like, no, that's just Luka.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It's really absolutely crazy. Man, my video is all wobbly. I got this new laptop stand, and whenever I type, it makes the camera shake. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Yeah, this was a game where I was like secretly hoping he would score 50 or 60 points, just because it was something. And I found myself like really just hoping for that because let's be petty for a second. Mary, you want me to hold him for a minute? Okay. Joel Embiid is out there scoring 1,000 points against some of the worst teams in the NBA and then missing games against good teams. So like petty me wants Luka to go nuts against a bad Portland team just to keep pace. And he's not able, he wasn't able to do that tonight. I mean, 40
triple double helps at least.
Yeah, to 40, 12, and 10. But it's just like I really was like, man, go for 50, like make news again. Because like Embiid's gonna end up running away with the award this year. I actually think this because he is literally playing better than he was last year. The team is better, which helps. They don't have some of the weird things hanging over them. But I wanted to sort of take a second to talk like awards with you just while we're here, because we had a guy pop in the other night, my friend Micah, who comes up to the show most nights, and basically make the case for Luka being MVP, Derek Lively being on the all rookie first team, and then let's see here, Tim Hardaway being the sixth man,
and then either Jones or Exum on most improved.
Yeah, and it was just like, yeah, it was fantastic. And so I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts in relation to any of that.
Exum for at this rate, Exum for most improved is going to be a lock. I mean, when he entered the starting lineup, it was the Utah game when they won by 50, and he had 5 points, but he had 7 assists and no turnovers. And I was kind of like, this feels like the blueprint for him. He's not necessarily going to be a scorer, but he's someone that can dribble and pass and keep things moving and keep things from getting gunked up, even if you have Kyrie and Luka both healthy. Just having a third guy that can dribble and pass on the floor makes quite a difference than just having a bunch of spot-up guys. And I was like, don't worry about the scoring. He's averaging for the month of December, he's averaging 17 points per game. Like since then, 23, 16, 26, 14, 18 points scored. Like he's on the greatest run of maybe his NBA career right now, considering his time in Utah and Cleveland was pretty brief and also, pretty uneventful, which is why he had to go to Europe in the first place to get his career back on track. Like we're witnessing probably the best, most impactful, productive stretch of professional basketball he's ever played. And it's wild. And he's doing it in different ways. After he tore up Portland already, so I guess I just didn't want to put him on the scouting report. He had 23 points last week against Portland. And again, everything he does is at the rim. And then he did that again against Memphis. And finally, I think the Lakers just were like, do not guard him. Don't let him score layups. And of course, he hit 7 threes. And now he's right back to living in the paint again. 14 against Minnesota, 18 against Portland, and most of those points coming in the paint. It's just like the scoring and the the passing, the versatility, the tempo, the smarts, the off-ball movement, the cutting. That all stuff makes sense. But the fact that he's doing that and also, scoring like 18 points a game, 17 points a game, basically. Like no one had that on their bingo card. I'll just say that. Like, even if you were a Dante Exum truther, what he's been doing in the last few weeks, basically the month of December has been like eye popping. So that one stands out to me. I feel like if he keeps it up, he's going to lock that down.
That'd be
MVP,
crazy.
Yeah,
that would be legitimately crazy. I mean, fantastic, but it's just something I never would have predicted in a million years.
I didn't think he was going to get. I thought he would be a productive player. Just think he would get enough minutes to even be considered that. But Luka MVP is tough because I feel like it's not even his fault. There's just that stigma. He was the preseason betting favorite for MVP. Like
he always is.
5 years
People want him to win. Like there's enough people that are, and this is like the betting influences are based off of like the money coming in. Yeah. There's a lot of money coming in that wants Luka to win.
Yeah, and I feel like he's gotten some like, I don't know, kind of pushback for like not having like it's almost like it's being held against him that he hasn't won MVP.
I think so. I mean, there's some of that. I think there's also.
I mean, come on, we just had an MVP last season. That like the MVP award. It's stats, yes, but it's media narrative is almost the most dominant part of it when you look at what happened last season. Not that Embiid wasn't a worthy winner, but I mean,
Embiid was not a worthy winner. Embiid was not. But you're right though.
His stat line was good enough, but someone else should have won. But the only reason that person didn't win was because they were mad he won 2 years ago. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get through that. Like, I feel like for him to cut through that kind of stuff. He's obviously going to have to be doing what he's doing right now, which is putting up ridiculous stat lines. But the Mavs have to be a true blood contender, like inner circle, like top 4 team in the NBA contender. Their record's not like that far off from it right now. I mean, they're 16-9, but I don't know if the larger media conglomerate of the NBA considers them one of the best 4 teams in the league. So I think until the Mavericks are like one of those bona fide, like almost a 60-win type team or threatening for that, that's probably what's going to take to push him over the edge. Because I mean, he's got the numbers. I mean, he's had the numbers basically since his sophomore season to be good enough to win MVP. The Mavericks basically need to like win the West or be like a top 2 seed in the West. I think.
Hold on, this is my favorite comment. We got a guy. This is a great comment. Fantasista 0. Who cares about MVP? My man, based off of the sheer amount of shit I see from search engine results and podcasts and videos and betting, literally every NBA fan cares about MVP. You can just put this stuff in the title of things and all of a sudden it bursts into it. And so who cares about it? We could say a lot of people, and that's why we're talking about it. I don't mean to interrupt Josh on that, but I think it's of note because people are probably like, why are we talking about this in light of the game that we just saw? Well, we kind of talked about the game. There's not a lot to talk about. The Mavericks played a bad team and they beat them, and we're going to go and talk about it in the context of like Luka's performance in that context, 40, 12, and 10. Very interesting. But the questions that I have is, do MVP voters hold the last season of the Mavericks against Luka Doncic? Or
I think they do.
Okay. And I think it'd be, kind of fair to. If you're going to be MVP, you don't miss the playoffs like that, even though I think he gave it his all. But that's, it's a choice that is worth sort of having. And like, while we're kind of talking Luka and MVP, the one that Jason, friend of the show, Jason Gallagher, actually came in here and talked to me about was he thought that the All-NBA first team streak was the thing that was most in danger, just due to the narratives arising around guys like Anthony Edwards. Now, granted, all like NBA teams are no longer constricted by positional stuff, so we're going to see some weird and all NBA teams like Luka, Jokic, and Embiid are all going to be on the NBA first team this year. That just is a thing. So that leaves spots for who? Luka and Shea, and that's who I'd pick.
So you're leaving, right? So that means you're leaving off Steph Curry,
Yep.
Anthony Edwards.
Yep.
There's now that there's no position, like it used to be kind of easy with the positional thing because it was like, okay, you're just looking at guards.
Positions up, right?
Yeah, and when maybe 5 of the best 8 players in the league are forwards and centers, it makes it a little easier to make first team All NBA when you're a guard. Not to say that Luka didn't deserve it. I'm just saying in terms of like the competition, now that it can be any position, it's definitely going to be harder for him to make it. But he's still, I would still do, if you had to pin me down right now, it'd probably be Jokic, Embiid, Luka, Shea, but
Giannis.
Giannis.
Yeah, you got it like the guy who scored 64 points the other day.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Shout just for a second, I have to say something. If Luka had done what Giannis did,
oh my God,
I can't imagine the discourse. And instead, it's because Luka's such a lunatic competitor. Most of the things were like, this is so funny, we don't know how to talk about it. But like that was the most second grade. This is my ball. And then after the game, this is the best part. He said after the game, the reason he went ballistic was because he wanted to give the game ball, not to his mother, which is what he's done for a lot of these things since his father passed away and would be understandable. He wanted to give the game ball to Damian Lillard, who had just passed Kyle Korver on the all-time threes made list. Giannis, you are a loser. All right, back to this. I'm just talking about anything tonight because the Mavericks game was kind of boring. I think that'll be fun to discuss. That's one thing I did love about the in-season tournament is this is the first time I've really thought about any of the awards, but we're 25 games in. Yeah. So this feels a little more natural to discuss these sorts of things. So it's fun. So the MVP will be fun to track. I think a lot of us would like for him to win it, but I don't know if the MVP comes until, like you said, the Mavericks are truly like a 50-plus team pace. Like they're a contender, and I think that's fair. I really do. I think like once you're a contender, then I think you deserve that. And like the Sixers are winning. They're in the conference. They're able to they're able to stack games against the Charlottes, the Washington Wizards, and some of these other kind of teams that the Mavericks just, they're kind of doing right now with who they're playing. Like, cause they played the Grizzlies 3 times, Portland twice. They're 4-1 in those games, but it's one of these things I'm going to be interested to watch as the season goes around, because I don't think that at the moment there's not a way. And I think our guy 17 in the chat talked about how emotional the American media is. I like that assessment. Media, it is what it is. But I think that there's not a lot of understanding of how the hell Luka is doing this. Like whenever I hear things from people on podcasts where it's like, well, Luka, from Zach Lowe and whatnot, just kind of going off the rails about how well they're playing. There's like a sense of not understanding how the hell it's happening. And that means the games aren't actually being watched all that closely. So I think if you're that far outside of the narrative bent, then you probably don't really have much of a chance this season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will say one more thing about Luka, and this isn't necessarily MVP talk, but we were talking about it in our MMV Slack. The one thing I'm a little trepidatious about is these injuries. He's basically playing like playoff rotation type minutes in the month of December. He's averaging about 40 minutes a game.
Right.
His numbers are insane, but I mean, his usage has been off the wall. I think like in the Minnesota loss, his usage was like 42%, which is like, no, like no, you can't be that high. But that's not his fault. Like there's nothing he can do. Like no
Right.
Kyrie, no Josh Green, Jaden Hardy has disappointed. Like that's it. Like Seth Curry is not a guy you run pick and rolls with. Dante Exum, as great as he is like that off-ball secondary guy. I don't think you want him on the floor running offense for extended period of time. So Luka kind of has to do what he's like. I don't understand what the alternative would be right now.
I don't see an easy answer. Like unless you're seeding wins, which they can't do. I mean, they're 16-9,
especially this soft part of the schedule. They have to guarantee these wins,
right? And I can understand it if you were like, if you're really game theorying it, and you say, "All right, I want Luka to sit. I want him to just be okay." But
I mean, they did that last year, and it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't work. They lost every single game he was out until Kyrie joined. They were 0-8 until Kyrie joined, and Kyrie, like one of the night. I don't want to say like. I'm really delighted to not have to talk about the fact that Kyrie isn't playing. I know he didn't hurt himself, but if you go through the list of Kyrie's injuries over the years, every single injury he's suffered has been a freak, bizarre injury. So he's not injury prone, but he does pick up freak, bizarre injuries. Like that's a thing. And so it's like, I'm glad to not have to talk about it while Luka is going just truly, truly insane during all this. All right. Did we talk about six man and Tim Hardaway? I feel like you did.
Well, I didn't. I just kind of glanced past it because that one just feels obvious. Like,
does it? Okay, that's interesting. So it's funny because in the last chat we had 3 or 4 like folks come up on stage here and be like, "We got to trade Tim."
Well, yeah, so, everyone wants to trade Tim.
the sixth man of it all. It's like I just don't know if you could you imagine them? And Jason Kidd said before the game he thinks he's sixth man of the year. So that was pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, good Lord, he's almost up to. I mean, he's at 17 a game off. I mean, this is an award that almost every awards voter just looks up, like who's averaging those points off the bench. Click, like so. The fact that he's not like an incredible passer or a lockdown defender, like that doesn't matter. Like this award is almost always who's the guy scoring the most points off the bench that's eligible. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but he's got to be first in points per game off the bench. So he's averaging basically like 20 a game in December. Funny enough, his shooting has really fallen off in December, but his scoring has gone up because they just need him to take shots with no Kyrie. So, yeah, that feels like unless he just gets into a crazy shooting slump or someone else steps up or yes, I don't know. I don't know. That's an award I'm not really tracking too closely, but it feels like it's sort of his to lose because of the way the history of that award has almost always been just give it to the guy that's scoring the most points off the bench.
The lively one is the one that I'm most interested in because obviously you got to finish the whole season healthy. You have to do a lot, but it's the lively thing seems to be similar to the MVP discussion where in Luka, where the people who aren't watching the Mavericks don't seem to understand how important he is to the team. Sam Quinn of CBS, notorious, I'm sure he could be a nice human. I have no fucking idea, but he has some of the worst basketball takes to like grace the internet. There are all these like weird, should the Mavericks trade Lively to go get Draymond Green? It's like, first of all, get the fuck out of here. And you see this in that people are not grasping how important Lively is to the team. Like the NBA.com rookie ladder had Lively 7th. Behind Osara Thompson, who has fallen out of the Detroit rotation. And so I get that it's hard to watch a lot of basketball, but I'm curious if Lively playing with Luka through the whole year, let's say he gets 65 games under his belt, if that's enough to crack an all-rookie first team that will also feature Chet Holmgren and also feature Victor Wembanyama. It's just like the Luka all-NBA first team discussion, except
but I'm pretty sure, yeah. And then, thankfully the rookie team is.
I don't think it's positional anymore.
Oh, really? Didn't he? I thought it used to be positionless.
It used to be, but I think they took that away too. And now, granted, I could be wrong. Someone in the chat will probably correct us. We appreciate that, guys. But let's settle for the top 5 rookies just for the sake of argument.
Because otherwise there's no argument because he's just not good.
He is. He is then. We're kind of in agreement then, right? I mean, he's only at 9 and 8 right now, so he's not necessarily putting up like gaudy numbers. I mean, Wembanyama's at like 19 and 10 or something.
Yeah, I mean, if the rookie team takes into account positions, like I don't know how you can put him above Wembanyama and Chet. Like but I would put him above a lot of other rookies that aren't Wembanyama and Chet. So that's where the conversation becomes really interesting.
Yeah.
It's probably, I mean, Wembanyama, Chet, Brandon Miller, and then I think after that,
Deontay George, maybe there's a lot of good
the guy in the Heat.
Ooh,
definitely consideration. But yeah, he's right there. And I mean the Mavericks, right? I mean, a lot of this award stuff is going to come down to the fact that the Mavericks, like, let's just be real, they've played a baby soft pillow schedule this season. I know the international travel makes it so they kind of needed it. That's definitely helped them. But I feel like the next like 2 or 3 weeks, they are basically playing like real teams, like almost every other day. No more 2 days off, 3 days off. Like it's playing every other day, playing some back-to-backs against teams that are, currently in playoff position. No more stretches where you play Memphis 3 times, you play Portland twice, you play Utah, you play Washington. You get to play all these fun, crappy teams. So a lot of this is going to come down to, we need to kind of see what the Mavericks record is going to stabilize at, because they're 16-9. And they are 3rd in the Western Conference right now, just a scotch ahead of Denver due to percentage points. But if they could get, if they're at the All-Star break and they're still winning about 64% of their games, they're still around 3rd or 4th, then I think that award conversation is going to definitely heat up for a lot of these guys. But if they hit kind of a rough patch and they fall back down to 5, 6, 7, which still wouldn't be bad, because I mean, they finished 11th last season, so I think that'll put a hamper in it. But it's hard to say, because like I can't guarantee that they're going to still be in 3rd after this 3-week stretch, because it's a lot of hard games, and they haven't. When you look at the teams they've beaten this season, and they just haven't stacked a lot of wins against quality teams, which they don't really need to. They can just keep beating the piss out of the Portlands and the Utahs and the Memphises of the world and make the playoffs just fine. So again, I'm not trying to like be Debbie Downer or anything, just saying I feel like we've still got a little bit left to learn about this particular team.
Yeah. All right. So we did have a question in the chat that was actually related to this game, and someone basically said, can you please talk about Omax? And I will talk about Omax in the sense of, I don't know how to talk about Omax. I wish. Are
people disappointed? Like what? Like what's
I think
the
they would like a
context
little
of the
more
conversation?
burn in situations like tonight where they needed size, and instead they rolled with Luka and Keefe as the 5-man. And I get that. I just think that there are instances where, particularly like 5-out basketball, is really hard to defend against. And I would say that Omax has a very difficult. He has to unlearn some of the things that got him drafted. Like he was very much like when I coached second graders, I use ridiculous phrases like stick like glue to that kid. And that's what Omax does with guys. And it's really awesome when you need him to blanket the sun. But in terms of team defense stuff, I think he gets burned every now and again. I think he still plays fairly out of control, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I wish Kid would let him play through it. But I think Kid is still doing the thing where if he makes a mistake, he gets yanked.
Yeah. And I think it's especially, well, now it's like, I mean, when the team was healthier, it's like, well, you've got Derek Jones Jr., you've got Dante Exum, you've got these options. Makes sense now. Like with Josh Green hurt, I understand that there's a clamoring, but he was also, he was the 24th pick in the draft, and late lottery guys don't automatically become rotation guys. I mean, freaking Jarris Walker, the 8th overall pick for Indiana, can't even crack the rotation for the Pacers. Taylor Hendricks was like the 7th pick, I guess, to Utah, and he just now started playing. So it's not a given, just because they need someone of his position and archetype. So like I don't know, like if he doesn't really do much this season, that doesn't really make a cause for concern, much like, we talked about Josh Green, and like, even though, there were things that frustrated us about his rookie season, I don't think you can't write the book on a guy
That's
in
right.
his first year. So yeah, it would be cool if he popped a little bit more. I think the thing that I can understand the frustration is he had that career game against Memphis, the 11 points, and then he's played a total of 10 minutes in the net following 3 games.
Yeah.
Like that's tough. Like that was a Rick thing, like where he would just take rookies or young players that were playing well and just stick them to the end of the bench for almost no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
So that's tough. But again, the 2 games right after were Lakers Timberwolves. So kid might have been like, I don't want to play the rookie against these 2 great teams. So, but then, where is he against Portland? So yeah, I understand the desire. Like there's always a clamor. Everyone wants to see the younger player get in the game. Everyone wants to see the backup quarterback when the starter isn't playing well. So I understand
5 boards in 5 minutes tonight. There's something, there's something to his energy. And I get why you want to see that when you watch Dwight Powell.
Right. But he's just, he has negative offense. Like he can't shoot. And he's still kind of learning his way off the ball and playing in an NBA offense and everything like that. So, it's fine. It's still young. Let's wait until we get through the All-Star break. And really, if he's not part of this rotation this season, again, it's not that big. I just don't think it's that big a deal.
That's right. All right. So here's what's going to happen next, guys. I'm going to throw up the show starter for our second live show. Josh is probably going to go edit and post some things at MavsMoneyball.com. We will be back the next time the Mavericks play. Do they play Monday? I feel like they play Monday. I feel like they play every other day from now until the end of time.
They really do. Let me get it. Let me pull it up real quick because
I should know these things.
It's okay. They play Monday at Denver, Wednesday at home against the Clippers, Friday at Houston, and then Saturday at home against the Spurs.
We'll definitely be here for that Nuggets game. I was briefly tweeting back and forth with the guy who found one of your tweets who was like, the Mavericks are frauds. I can't wait till the Nuggets destroy them on Monday. And it's like, well, the Mavericks might be frauds, but I like fucking watching them. So go whatever.
Yeah.
This is why we
did this. Lost to the Nuggets.
They lost to the NBA champions. This is why I do the secondary live show, because it's like I want to get that guy, want him to come off Twitter, come up to my live show and like talk through his pain. Whatever the hell makes you get online and be like,
it's called like group therapy for a reason.
That's right. Though today is going to be Mavericks party because the Dallas Mavericks won. So hang out for about 30 seconds. We'll be right back. For those on audio, look for this show a little later in the afternoon. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe of the Mavs, our Pod Maverick, and we'll be back shortly. Everybody have a great night.